Hey everybody, I'm JimClassic, and you are watching Geekin, and 5 episodes into Star Wars The Acolyte. And there's finally an episode I enjoyed. Sue me, okay? Yeah, I actually unironically enjoyed this episode. It was canon-breaking, yes, but I enjoyed this episode. So I'm going to be talking about just my initial thoughts, the stuff that's just off the top of my head, still fresh in my mind, kind of unfiltered, more or less unscripted, just my thoughts. I'm not going to do a review. I am just going to talk about what I liked and what I didn't like. And that's it. And my phone goes off. And that's it. That's all I really want to talk about. But I had fun. I actually had fun watching this episode. It's just, why are we 5 episodes in and the show is just now getting fun? Where we last left off, Darth Smiley here, as the internet has affectionately referred to him since he has no name yet, has gone up against the 5 or 6 Jedi surrounding the now late Master Tanaka, whatever, the Wookiee, the Jedi Master Wookiee. Darth Smiley shows up, kind of just pushes them all. Episode picks up. We have saber fighting. We have one cloaked monster going up against like 10 Jedi, and it's in the woods. It's at night. You just see the lightsaber, but it's fine. Look, it's swordplay. It's swashbuckling. It's fun. I had a good time watching these. I mean, this guy's just mowing down Jedi. I think by mid-episode, it's just the Master and Saul, and I think one of the apprentices. But Jedi are getting mowed down. That was most of the episode. It was, what was it, like maybe a 36-minute episode? Again, I think it was pretty short. I might have to look that up. But it was less than an hour, maybe 40 minutes at the most. And it was just, most of it was swordplay. Most of it was this guy taking the Jedi to school. All right? I mean, this was like Darth Sidious levels of he's kicking Jedi ass. I have to say it. This guy, I mean, it kind of reminded me of a little bit of Darth Sidious. Corkscrews into the air. All right, he didn't do anything like that crazy. But, he was just mopping the floor with Jedi. It was kind of pathetic on the Jedi's part. I gotta say, they've definitely let themselves go. If you want to take it one way, the Clone Wars both weakened the Jedi and also sharpened their abilities at the same time, if that's even possible. But this one guy is taking out like 5 or 6 Jedi, just destroying them. May is trying to run away. Osha and Yord are going back to the ship because Saul is like, get her out of here. She's a civilian. She doesn't need to be here. Gets her out of there. Eventually, once the majority of the Jedi have been wiped out, it's pretty much just Soul and Darth Smiley. And those two are just going back and forth, fighting, just trading blows back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The young Padawan, the one with the horns, I think her name is, like, Jessie? I don't know her name. I don't think she has a name either. I don't think they ever mentioned it. But, Jessica? Might be Jessica. I don't know. But she's a little blonde Padawan with the horns. She was kind of befriending Osha a little bit in the last episode. Don't really know much else about her. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure what her name is. That's how little impact she has on the show. She is chasing down May. Now, I found... Alright, this is what I found was pretty tough. May is ready to... By the last episode. In the last episode, May is just ready to turn over a new leaf. Osha being alive changes everything. I'm going to turn myself in. I'm not going to kill Kanaka, the Wookiee. I'm not going to kill the Wookiee. Jackie shows up, and her name is Jackie, by the way. Jackie and May start fighting. They're, no lightsabers. They're just kind of duking out, using the Force on each other, slap fighting, hitting, whatever they're doing. And I found it a little weird because in the last episode, May is ready to turn over a new leaf. This episode, she's pretty much fighting for her life to not be arrested by the Jedi, which she was planning on turning herself into them. Anyway, now granted, her master showed up, caused a lot of problems, and maybe she's in fight or flight mode. But she was getting ready to kill Jackie because she had a knife to her throat at one point. I don't remember exactly what happened, but Jackie does get the upper hand. Kind of cuffs her, and then the master shows up, and the master's a bit chatty. I do like the master. We still don't have a name yet, but I do like this guy because he's a bit chatty. He's kind of trading barbs with Saul. He's like, "Oh, you don't know who I am," and then he goes up to. He approaches May. May is still cuffed, and he's like, "You." And he has Jackie, with the lightsaber, about ready to. I forget. He's got her cornered. He's like, he looks to me. He's like, "You should learn something from this one. She's a loyal Padawan." Ultimately, Jackie is killed off. Okay, it's a shame she was a young Padawan. It's always, three saber strikes to the chest. Yeah, I think she's dead. There's a lot of jokes about, how Sabine can get up from that, and the third sister can get up from that. Yet Qui-Gon Jinn dies from the same injury. But no, she had three of them right through the heart. She ain't getting back up. Incidentally, while I was looking this up, so the actress's name is Daphne Keane, and the Padawan Jackie Long. That's how I learned her name. But I found this quote very funny. "Jackie Lan is a young, devoted Padawan who's very talented and wise beyond her years," Keane says. "I love Jackie. I love how she grows in the show. She starts off as really rigid and rule-prone." She doesn't really... she's dead by the halfway point of this show, and she hasn't really grown all that much. She left so little of an impact, I didn't even know her name. But it's an interview. I guess she has to say stuff like that. You can probably say that about the most shallow character you've ever played. Like, "I love how my character grows throughout the series." And, it's all interview spin. But I saw that and I found, she's already dead. She hasn't grown. There's been no character change. So I had to chuckle. Just my dark sense of humor. Sue me. Jackie is dead. It's a shame. Another Jedi lost. Ended before her time. And I think during the battle, which it was a fun battle. It was a fun lightsaber battle. I guess the Master's helmet, I guess he was using it to headbutt some of the Jedi who were using it. He might have used it to deflect some lightsaber blows? I don't quite know, but at one point, anyway, at any point, the helmet does crack in half shortly after Jackie's murder. And lo and behold, well, it's a sidekick. It's Kamar. And that was, I think, just about everybody's guess after the last episode, because, what does May do? She ropes him up, she abandons him. 5 minutes later, this dark lord shows up, and, I think just about everybody figured out it was him. Or at least had a really good guess. Let's put it that way. No one knew for sure. It was a really good guess. It was him. Okay, so he's been the master the entire time. He's been keeping very close tabs on May without her even realizing it. And, there's a conversation between Kamar. I guess we can call him Kamar at this point. I like Darth Smiley better, but whatever. There's a conversation between Kamar and Saul. Is like, "What are you?" And he's like, "Well, I forget his exact quote, but basically says, some would call me a Sith." So they name dropped it. This guy is the first Sith found in 1,000 years, which it's no longer Darth Maul. Or maybe the show is getting ahead of itself. I'm not entirely sure Kamar's a true Sith. I'll get into that later. He basically just says, "Oh, I just want the right to use my powers without the permission of the Jedi. I want to be able to take on an Acolyte," he says the title of the show, "without the persecution of the Jedi, without the. Basically, he wants to just exist. He wants to be left alone. Sure, I'm sure a guy wielding dark forces as awful as his just wants to be left alone. But yeah, he says he just wants to practice his craft without the Jedi meddling. And Kamar officially does not give his name. He does not say he's Darth anything. He doesn't say Darth Smiley. He doesn't even say the name Kamir. He just, all we know is he's a Sith. He calls himself a Sith, and I guess that's good enough for us. Then the fight continues on, and again, it was just, most of this episode was swordplay. I am okay with that. We do get some plot exposition. Eventually, Osha convinces Yord to turn around because he was escorting her back to the ship. And Yord shows up. Kamar gets the upper hand, and ultimately he snaps Yord's neck. Okay, another Jedi down. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know these characters. I'm not really attached to them, so I don't really care. If you're going to have a Star Wars prequel which features a Sith 100 years before Darth Maul, every one of these characters has to die. None of these characters can survive the end of the series. So I'm not too shocked that Jedi were dropping like fries. And fries? I'm not surprised that Jedi were dropping like flies. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really like Yord all that much anyway. He was a bit uptight. He had a stick up his butt the entire time, and he's not a fun character. So Yord's gone. Again, it's back to Saul. It's back to Kamir, and he gets the upper hand again. He gets. Oh, I remember what happened. Osha actually did something pretty clever. She used her little tricorder droid, stuck it to his back, and it attracted those cicada pill bug monsters from the last episode, and they kind of were attracted to the light, and they grabbed Kamar and flew him off, and at least that gave our hero some downtime. Someone got stunned, someone else got stunned. Osha and May are running off, and then we have Osha and May confronting each other. May basically is like, "Hey, look, let's let bygones be bygones. Let's just run away. Let's leave the Jedi. Let's leave the Sith. Let's just run away, and we'll have each other." Osha is still like, "Look, you fucked everything up. I'm not going with you." Osha is definitely lawful good. That's her role. She is lawful good, which is fine. That's May. I wouldn't say chaotic evil. She might be chaotic evil because I don't think she has any real rules. She seems very fickle. She can't seem to make up her mind or take responsibility for her mistakes. May is implying that Osha doesn't remember the third episode as well as she thinks. Because Osha's saying, "Oh, the Jedi saved me. You started this fire. You caused all of this. This all goes back to you and how you caused all this." She's trying to get May to understand that May is the one responsible. May is like, "Oh, you're so brainwashed. They have your mind twisted." Either May is in complete denial that she is responsible for all of this, or the real twist is that the Jedi killed all of the Discount Night Sisters. We'll find out one way or the other. Maybe. I suppose. If they're smart, they're not going to end the show on a cliffhanger. Ultimately, I think May knocks out Osha, and we do the old switcheroo. May cuts her hair with a lightsaber, and next thing you know, she rendezvous with Saul dressed as Osha, and those two go off. So right now, Sol is the sole survivor of the encounter with Darth Smiley, and he runs off with May, thinking she is Osha. Well, at the end of the episode, you see Darth Smiley. I guess he puts the mask back on. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't quite remember. Or at least he picks it up. I don't know. But you see Osha unconscious, and he drapes a blanket over her, probably thinking he's going to May was a lost cause. Maybe I can turn Osha. He decided not to kill her. So he's probably going to try to recruit her. And that's basically how the episode ends. It was swordplay. Swordplay, and then, oh yeah, I'm a Sith. I'm not so sure about that. I have my doubts. I have my doubts that Darth Smiley is really a Sith, because again, if I'm taking the Darth Plagueis novel into account here, Darth Tenebrous should be running around right now. And I have two thoughts. Either Darth Smiley, Kamar, is Tenebrous's apprentice before Plagueis is, which, okay, I could, maybe Kamar is under Darth Tenebrous, but trying to recruit his own acolyte to overthrow Tenebrous. I have taken that into consideration. Or Kamar is not part of the rule of two. Maybe Darth Tenebrous is still out there. Maybe he's still doing his thing. And Kamar, this could be like a standalone complex thing where maybe he's a Force user who found a Sith holocron. Maybe he learned the ways of the Sith from the ground up instead of going by the rule of two with generation after generation of Sith. So he could just have stumbled upon a Sith holocron and learned from it and decided to call himself a Sith without even being aware of Darth Tenebrous and his shenanigans. So those are my two thoughts. We could either, Kamar could either be Tenebrous's first apprentice, and then we have Plagueis the Wise, or Kamar is, striking out on his own, completely separate of the rule of two. And I suppose there's even a third option here. It could be Kamar's just making it up. He might not be a true Sith. That's also a possibility. Because, again, every character, all of our main characters from the Acolyte have to be killed off by the end of the show. Otherwise, and I know this was a topic of discussion last week. Otherwise, it makes Coyote-Mundi look like a complete jerk. Like, first off, he shouldn't even be alive yet. Whatever. And second, if Kamar is a Sith, it has to be covered up. It has to be disproven some way, somehow. Because otherwise, his role in the Phantom Menace, Coyote-Mundi's role in the Phantom Menace is, oh, well, that's ridiculous. There hasn't been a Sith in over 1,000 years when Qui-Gon Jinn is trying to make his claim. And if Darth Maul turns out to be the second Sith in 1,000 years, and it was on this guy's watch that it happened, that the first time, now it just really kind of smears Coyote-Mundi's reputation. And I don't think he's not hated. He's a C-list Jedi, okay? He's a C-list Jedi. But it's gonna really ruin his reputation. Now, what Star Wars fans are going to take him seriously. But anyway, that's my thoughts. I actually did like the 5th episode of The Acolyte. I had fun. That's what Star Wars should be all about. It should be fun. This episode was fun. Sure, I'm sure it's got its flaws. I'm sure, it's canon breaking, if anything, with Kamar being a Sith. It's definitely canon breaking. But then again, so is having Coyote-Mundi be around 4 years before he's even born, or whatever, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. So, the Acolyte does not really give a crap about canon or continuity or cohesion, sure. But I still had fun. I don't have to consider the Acolyte canon to anything if I don't feel like it. But it was fun. I can come right out and say that. I had a good time watching it. Now, whether or not the show can keep up that momentum, I have no idea. There's 3 episodes left. The rest of them could just, the rest of them could be humdrum and boring, just like the first 4 were. Who knows? Anyway, I think I'm done. I'm out of ideas. I'm out of thoughts. My brain is empty right now. I'm sorry, but I do have to go. I'm JimClassic. You have been watching Geekin' It. I will see you next time. Please, Tell me your thoughts about the Acolyte. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you think I'm crazy for actually enjoying this episode? Just let me know in the comments section. I'll see you around. Take care.